It never rains, but it pours as far as referees are concerned in Scotland. And once again, we start off the very first weekend of the SPFL. And although Celtic did win 4-0, and it was an emphatic win, we never let them get a single bit of breathing space, and we played fantastically well. There was a couple of incidents over the weekend. And the first one was obviously the handball on the Saturday. Yes, the very first game of the season, and there's a handball incident. All day long last season, it was given as a penalty, but not against the Rangers. And that happened after a meeting. Yes, a meeting between clubs and managers. And I'll just remind you of the meeting.
Okay. I have very good relationships with the Premiership clubs. I'll be quite open, I've had good discussions with the Rangers manager. He's brought good ideas at that Premiership's managers meeting to the table about refereeing, about VAR.
Your favorite sports team?
Yes, fuck your favourite sports team. I think that when you look at both decisions independently, Hearts would feel really disappointed that they didn't get the penalty. His arm is not in a natural position. And the fact that it just wasn't a penalty. I mean, it should have been a penalty all day long. And then when we go to yesterday, and as we expected, there was another penalty incident. I'm going to get this one on the screen. And Kyogo's hand's offside. Kyogo's hand. It was given as an offside because his hand is offside. You see here, his hand. His hand was in an offside position. Now, if you look there, Kyogo he could have got a better touch to the ball, but the keeper doesn't even go for the ball. The keeper just takes him out completely. He's the last man. It should have been a red card. Should have been a penalty. Should have been a sending off, but it wasn't. Absolutely none of it. And it was held back. It was held back for his hand being offside. His hand. Yesterday, a hand never received a penalty. All we want from the SFA is for them to be consistent and not consistently bad. We want them to be consistently good. And I think that after they had the managers meeting with the head of the referees, and it was interesting that he did say, look, I even had a good chat. I will come out and say I had a good chat with Clement. And then Clement comes out and says, yeah, it's going to take a couple of months for us to get up to speed. Well, make sure the Celtic don't get too far ahead of us, please. Anyway, we did win 4-0. Chris Boyd spoke about the situation yesterday, and he managed to say, I mean, in the studio, Charlie Mulgrew and James McFadden agreed that it was a penalty. It was a penalty all day long. However, Boyd, the raging Boyd against his Rangers are people will say just because it's Celtic, before abruptly he cut himself off, and then he went, I think it's a penalty. And you can't defend bad refereeing, and you can't say. I mean, that's anyway. It doesn't really matter because we won, and we won quite well. And Matt O'Reilly took to Instagram, and I think that I've got a sneaky feeling that, I mean, Matt O'Reilly he's not in a hurry to leave Celtic, but he did take to Instagram last night. And he said, oof, it's good to be back. With a picture of him and Scales in the rain. And they were enjoying themselves and having a laugh. I mean, even Scales scored yesterday. It's Scales and Tony Ralston. It's just taking the piss a bit, isn't it? It is just taking the piss when you see the players that scored yesterday. But it shows the strength and depth of the squad slightly. We're still a good few players short. Let's not say we aren't. But anyway, Joe Hart, give him a clap of hands. Sinisalo, give him the class. Tony Ralston said he was on fire. Nico Kuhn said he was dancing. Kyogo Furuhashi dancing emojis. And then one of the Celtic fans says, you don't get these sort of laughs at Southampton. It's where you belong, pal. And then everything Saints. but Martin loves you. Martin saved your career. Martin also sold him on from MK Dons. So everything Saints, don't be too disappointed. He wants to win things. Matt O'Reilly wants to win things. He plays at the highest possible that he can in the Champions League with Celtic. Going down to Southampton would not be beneficial to Matt O'Reilly's career. And even if they were to come in with a 25 million offer, Matt O'Reilly knows that he's not going to be playing Champions League with them. You know, they think that they're some kind of feeder club for them, but we're not. Matt O'Reilly is a level-headed guy, and he's not in the rush to chase the cash. He looks at the bigger picture, which he's proven he's done over the years of his career. And I don't be too surprised if Matt O'Reilly is still at Celtic come the end of this transfer window. And it'll be absolutely fantastic if he is, because we've got one hell of a player in the making. And I think he wants to enjoy this season at Celtic. I really do. I really think that when you see his demeanour and you see the way, I mean, all things can change as soon as a 25 to 30 million pound bid comes in, obviously. But until that does, Matt's just like, it's not even talking about it. And I think that's what the conversation would have been like between him and Brendan Rodgers. It's like, there's nothing to talk about, boss. There's nothing to talk about. There's not been the bid put in, you know. And until that bid comes in at that kind of money, it's then going to have to be the discussion. Well, is it? So apart from the win, what else can we take from yesterday? Well, the fact that Mikey Johnson didn't get any game time but made the bench, that'll have to get Mikey Johnson sitting thinking to himself, like, I went out alone towards the end of last season. I played some fantastic football. I had a good time. I'm at the age where I don't really need to be sitting on a bench. I can go somewhere else and I can walk straight into a first team. So there's big decisions to go with when it comes to Mikey Johnson. Is it time for him to finally move on from Celtic? And another noticeable missing person from the game yesterday, not Dyson Maida, because we know Dyson had that injury, really bad bruising on his knee, and that would take some time to heal, so he was left out. There's no use, we've got more important games coming up, so Dyson was left out of the team, but it was Gustav Lagerbielke. Yep, Gustav Lagerbielke didn't even make the squad, didn't even make the bench, with only Stephen Welsh being back up. Now, it does show that we're short, really short in the defensive department. And Nobrowski, Big Rocky, he is injured still. It's not a great start to the season when he's injured, considering he was injured last season. It says more about his Celtic career going forward than anything, because there'll come the manager's thoughts. He's going to come to a decision and go, I need to get someone in just now that's fit and someone that's better than Scales. And I don't think that Rocky Nobrowski is better than Scales. Where is Gustav Lagerbielke? Has there been a deal done, or has Gustav Lagerbielke been told for a second time in the space of 8 months? And you've got to feel sorry for the lad. For the second time in 8 months, he's going to be told that, yeah, you're surplus to requirements. And he's probably sitting going, I could have been away. I mean, I enjoyed the tour of America and all the rest of it, but I could have been away in January, and I could have been playing some good football. I could have been playing football. Had a pre-season with a team that really wants me, but he's been left out of the squad altogether again, which said to me he's surplus to requirements as far as Brendan Rodgers is concerned. And I thought it was a shame that none of the younger boys got onto the bench yesterday. I think it would have been good for them, some of the younger team, to get onto the bench, but then maybe that is the plan going forward, that they were going to be on the bench. Anyway, it is Monday morning. We are top of the league, looking down on everyone. Natural order has commenced. There was one comment that says, don't get too cocky. It's the first game of the season. There's a long way to go. Don't expect to win everything. And you can tell it was from a Rangers fan who must be disappointed this morning. Yep, but he didn't have Mr. I am disappointed to tell him that. On that note, have an absolutely fantastic day, Celtic fans all around the world. I shall see you for the live at 8 p.m. tonight, Celtic Part Time, where we can talk about everything from the weekend. We can talk about transfer speculation, because let's face it, it will start to ramp up, because that is the first game played. The English Premiership kicks off next weekend, and that's generally when the time that transfers really do start to ramp up. And I think Celtic will know The fact that Kyogo Furuhashi, if he got injured yesterday, it would have been panic stations. Absolute panic stations. And I did say there's a nightmare scenario at Celtic just hiding round the corner, and it could come to fruition at any day. Matt O'Reilly gets sold, Kyogo gets injured or sold. Where are we left then? Just a thought, a morning thought for you this Monday morning. Anyway, that's me done and dusted. Hasta luego.